let's go to the Sunday Christmas Day slate, and that's a 3-game slate. So we'll kind of run through each position instead of
Yeah.
talking about it from the showdown perspective. But if you like anybody from specific teams after we finish, we can revisit. But let's start at quarterback. Who do you like as your top play for this 3-game slate? We have let me just set it up. We got the Green Bay Packers going to Miami to take on the Dolphins in the first game. The spread is around 4 total, around 49. Then the second game in the afternoon is Denver at the Rams, and I really question how many fans are going to be in the stands for that one at SoFi. But Denver's favored by a field goal on the road. The total's around 36, so very low projected score there. And then Tampa Bay, Arizona is the nightcap. So that's the traditional Sunday night football. And you got the Bucks favored by 8. The total is around 40 with Trace McSorley getting the start for the Cards. Okay, now, who do you like at quarterback?
Yeah, so this is a pretty ugly slate at QB. So right now, I would say Tom Brady sticks out against the Cardinals. He's only 6,100. So he's a decent option at this price. The Cardinals defense has allowed the 7th most fantasy points to QBs. Plus, whenever you take Brady, you're going to have a ton of stacking options. So I do like him for that purpose on this slate. If you want to get crazy, I do think Trace McSorley is interesting at 4,800. He has a ton of rushing upside. He could easily, rush for 20, 30 plus yards here. So he has value in that regard. Plus, he has DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown at his disposal. So he is not a good quarterback. I'm not saying that, but on a 3-game slate at 4,800, you could certainly do worse. So those are the 2 guys I'm kind of looking at for, I would say Brady for cash and McSorley is more of a tournament play.
Yeah, I like McSorley a lot. I think that this Cardinal Buck game just has a wide range of outcomes. I think the consensus seems to be that the Bucks are gonna control the game and it'll be low scoring. But let's say you get a turnover or something weird happens, and you could get a lot of back and forth, a lot of play volume. Arizona both tend to go really fast, so a lot of different outcomes, I think, in this one. And you add in the running quarterback, you add in the talented pass catchers on both sides. And I do think that this is, kind of the game to stack. Because, most people, I think, are going to target the Dolphins and the Packers, and rightfully so. But I think there's a lot of pivot options in this game. I love McSorley. And I do like Aaron Rodgers, though. I think that he's going to have a good game in this spot. I wrote it up. I'll have it out for the betting preview on Action Network where I talk about it as well. But I just think this Miami defense is a really good matchup for Rodgers. They love to blitz. That's their identity. They really haven't switched it up for anyone. Rodgers is still a top 5 quarterback against the blitz. And Miami plays a ton of man coverage. They're kind of in that Giants, Lions tier of defenses that blitz and play man coverage. And it's kind of simple. How do you attack those defenses when you have a quarterback who averaging about a yard better versus man than zone? And now with Watson healthy, with Lazard here, and everyone healthy, they have man beaters. Christian Watson is second among all wide receivers with 4.3 yards per route against man coverage. And Allen Lazard is quietly in the top 25 as well, with over 2 yards per route against man. So you have those two when they play man. And of course, you're still going to get a lot of zone from every defense. And that's where Dobbs comes in. He's back healthy, and Randall Cobb. And so I think full complement of weapons. Rodgers getting healthier here. And, Green Bay is going to be really motivated. And the Dolphins, I think they're kind of getting figured out a little bit on offense. But even when Tua's it doesn't look good and he's completing 50% of his passes, he's still going to get 1 or 2 deep shots, touchdowns to Waddle or Hill. So the Packers are going to have to score in this game, and Miami's better against the run as well. They're 11th in run defense DVOA. So I know there could be maybe some drizzles or something. So check the weather, but I don't think it'll be too much of a factor. But I do like Rodgers. He's popping for me in terms of a value at 5,900. All right, let's go to running back. Who do you like?
Yeah, so running back, I think the sweet spot is the Latavius Murray at 5,600 and Cam Akers at 5,200. They're both in the same game, and they both should see pretty big workloads in what should be a low scoring close game. Both team I can see both teams just leaning on the run game here. Akers, to my disbelief, has just been the lead back to close out the season. I have admitted that. So now that I'm investing on him here, watch Kyron Williams go off. But I do think, he's going to continue to dominate the short yardage work. He actually looked pretty good as a pass catching back last week too. So both of these backs are workhorse backs. I love Murray. He's a high end RB2 for me. Although I will say Chase Edmonds, he returned to practice, so it's unclear if he's going to return to action this week. Keep an eye on the inactive list. If Edmonds is active, I will bump down Murray a bit, but still at this price point, at 5,600, I would still like him even if Edmonds returns, but I'm guessing Edmonds is held out for one more week. So I think this is sort of the sweet spot in this range. Also, Raheem Mostert, he's 5,900. We'll have to see what's up with Jeff Wilson, but the Packers are definitely a run funnel defense. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mostert broke off, a couple big runs here. So I just think on this slate, that's the range I'm kind of keying in on.
Yeah, I'm going the same way, and I had it written down in my notes. Murray and Akers are likely to be the most popular at 52 to 5,600. So yeah. I actually like the two guys in between them. Give me some Rachaad White. Again, this game, Tampa Bay might finally have a positive game script. Maybe they won't, but they might, because they're going, it's Brady against Trace McSorley. They just might have a positive game script. And if they do, I think they're going to want to see the kid White. I think they're going to, it's going to, how every rookie has that one game where they just get fed, and he might go back to normal the week after, but I think this could be that game for him against this Cardinal defense that has really been struggling in a game that this game just may be different than a lot of Tampa Bay games is what I'm getting at. So I'm really interested in investing in those guys, and White has more carries than Leonard Fournette over the past couple of weeks. Fournette's still running more routes, but that could easily change if Tampa Bay is in a positive game script, So I think White is a guy I'm trying to get ahead of and, get him before he goes off again, because I know people were high on him last few weeks, but I think that now is the time to jump on him when he probably will be one of the lower rostered guys in this range. And then I like Jeff Wilson as well. I think he's going to be way overlooked. And obviously this is for tournaments, but I think he's going to be way overlooked because Mostert got the long run last week and put up a bunch of yards. And as you mentioned, Murray, definitely a cash option. Akers is a cash option. And then I think Rachaad White is even probably sexier. People are going to pick him over Wilson as well. So they're just pretty much everyone in this range is going to be rostered before Jeff Wilson. But remember, Mike McDaniel's kind of like Shanahan with these running backs. You don't really know what you're going to get. I mean, I think we were talking on this pod. Like, I was like, when Gaskin's been active, he's been playing over Ahmed. So of course, Ahmed just waltzes into the end zone, gets all the snaps. You just can never predict what's going to happen with this Shanahan offense. And with this McDaniel offense. And he actually was quoted as saying that Wilson was close last week, but they held him out. So that might tell me that, okay, they held him out. Now he might be rearing to go. He may start the game if he's active for the Dolphins. And remember, we've seen Wilson act as the number one back over Mostert, and it kind of came out of nowhere when it happened the first time too. So against this Packer D that is 31st in DVOA against a run, I really like Jeff Wilson. I think he has a ton of upside, especially with this high total game. It's sneaky multi-touchdown upside here for Jeff Wilson Jr.
Yeah, I mean, McDaniel is a Shanahan disciple, so it kind of comes with the territory. But I do like the Rachaad White call. And earlier in the week, I was commenting that his routes run rate hit the lowest routes run rate he's had since week 9, 30%. But when I looked at it, he dominated third down work.
Yeah,
and it was Fournette who handled every 2-minute offense snap, and that was in a trailing game script. They're just out there running the hurry up offense. So yeah. I do think that if it is a closer game or, a leading game script, White's routes run rate could go back up to 50%. So that last week, it was basically the trailing game script led to that. So I do agree that he could bounce back here with a big game.
All right, let's go to wide receiver. Who do you like?
Oh, got to go with Christian Watson here. I mean, he's 6K. You already talked about it. I don't have to look at that line. I bet you have him there too. But
Oh yeah.
Miami, they play man at the second highest, right? He's torched man, 4.3 yards per route run. And he failed to find the end zone last week. But if he had just been looking at Aaron Rodgers on that signal, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he could have scored. So he scored 8 touchdowns in the previous 4 games. So I think he'll pick up that pace here. So he's a no-brainer play at 6K. And then got to go Tutu Atwell at 3,600. He only caught one pass for 10 yards last week. The whole Rams passing attack was just awful last week. But he ran a route on 89% of Baker's dropbacks. Should be able to maintain over an 80% routes run rate the rest of the season with Ben Skoranek out for the season. So he's probably only going to see an increase in target share as well. Denver plays zone at the 4th highest rate, and Atwell's been better against zone this year. 3.24 yards per route run against zone. So he's a no-brainer play at this price. I'm assuming his rostership will be pretty high, but I don't care. He just has a massive floor ceiling combo for a guy this cheap on a 3-game slate.
Yeah, I love Tutu Atwell. I think I was disappointed that he didn't do more with his massive usage because that's what we're trying to predict first and foremost is a guy who's going to get usage, and he got his highest usage of the season. Was out there almost every snap and just they got nothing. So I mean, obviously, I do think it's a worrisome matchup. Denver is the best pass defense in the league, but we've kind of witnessed it firsthand. This Ram team kind of comes alive at home, even with all these guys. So maybe Baker has a something left in him. And Tutu was balling in that home game. I think he caught 5 catches for 50. I want to say against the Raiders. So. I do like that Tutu call, but I am so nervous about it. And I also worry, because if he turns into a full-time receiver, I mean, what would the odds be of him getting an in-game injury? It has to be higher than usual.
Oh, geez.
60 pounds, right? I mean,
yeah.
All the other Rams are getting hurt. So, I do worry about that, but I love the upside of Tutu. I mean, he gets a ton of targets and targeted deep down the field as well. Rushing attempts, all that stuff. So really do like him.
And you think his rostership will be pretty high? Because I mean,
probably not after last.
Oh, probably not.
Because
true.
They don't list snap percentage on the game logs. At least
right.
I don't. Yeah, no, they don't. So you're gonna look at his game log and be like, okay, he had a good game 2 weeks ago, but he kind of came back down to earth. And a lot of people aren't gonna realize, especially if they're not reading DFS content or listening to pod like this. They're not going to realize that he was out there 90% of the time last week. So I don't think it'll be super high. I think people are just going to pay up a little more, or there'll probably be a lot of Tua, and I think Sherfield is 32.
Yeah, he's $400 cheaper. Yeah.
So I think he will be the chalk. You're never going to guess the guy I got that I'm going to talk about for my dart throw. But
what team? Is that going to give it away?
Maybe not even, but I still think you should. If I give it away, it might give it away. So I'll give you one guess. Just still
Russell Gage.
Ooh, that's a good one. I do like Russell Gage this week. But there's is Julio officially out? No, right? I think he's still questionable.
Yeah. I'm projecting him for like 40% routes run rate.
Yeah.
But who do you? Brandon Johnson.
No, it's even.
Now I'm just spitting.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson.
Oh boy!
Again,
yeah.
I just think this game is going to be so weird and odd and different from like both of these teams' normal scripts throughout the year because they're for the Bucs it's just like you finally have a chance to have another positive game script after a month maybe almost feels like, and for the Cardinals you got a third string quarterback here, but. As I talked about on Convince Me last week when I hammered the AJ Green under, Robbie Anderson is starting to see a little bit of an uptick in his usage at the expense of AJ Green, who has a median of 6 receiving yards this season. Now, Anderson hasn't been very productive either with the Cardinals, but I do think this is the right time to target him, and here's why. Last week, in that disaster of a game, he didn't catch a pass, but his routes run did spike to 43%, again, at the expense of Green, who usually Green is up at like 65, 70. But, Anderson almost drew even with him. But he led the Cardinals in air yard market share. He had 29% of the air yards. He had 76 air yards and no real yards. So, if he just catches one of those passes, that's a lot of fantasy points, could be a touchdown. And at this point, you have a lost season. Why not just let McSorley just fling it to the guy you traded for and see if he can, pad some stats before the season ends. And again, this Bucs team, their offense is in a good spot. This Cardinal defense has been struggling, so there could just be extended garbage time at the end of this one. But if that's the case, then Anderson, he would get on the field either way. Even if he still is the behind green, he would get on the field in that situation. So just a lot of ways I think that Robbie Anderson, it sounds crazy, but we're talking dart throws here. We're trying to get guys that can win you the slate, and I think Robbie Anderson is that guy that no one's gonna want to roster him. People probably forgot he exists, to be honest with you. But I was watching that game. I saw the air yards. I have it down here, and Robbie Anderson, man, min price. Let's see.
Yep.
See what happens.
Gotta love the air yards, and they were one was a 38-yard pass downfield, the other was 30, so it was two gigantic.
Yep.
Area. Were both from McCoy though, or was one from McCoy? Well, how'd that break down? Did McSorley target him for one of those? That's my question.
Good question.
Because that does matter.
I think he might have to, but I might just be hazy. So let me actually look it up. Let's see, play by play.
Did so McSorley played most of the second half, right? Let me just look at the splits.
He played. I forget when exactly
McCoy. So Robbie saw all those air yards in the second half. So
yeah, but it was McCoy. Oh no, McSorley. Yeah, the second one was on 3rd and 8, and it was So it was a third down play. I remember this one actually. Yeah, it was early in the fourth quarter. He took a deep shot down the left sideline for Robbie, and it just couldn't quite connect there, and it was from the 4-yard line. So it would have been a 96-yard touchdown if he caught it.
Oh.
So yeah, I'll take that every day at min.
Well, that's the Robbie Anderson experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Always has been, always will be.
Just don't get too down on him, because that's when he'll just screw you up.
Yes, exactly.
One time all year he'll produce. Yep. Yeah, I'm calling it.
Big week from Robbie Anderson and Gabe Davis. Let's go.
Oh yeah, I mean, you asked me if there's weather, and now it turns out there is probably weather in that game.
So there is. Yeah,
maybe not. I don't know. I feel like this is not the Saints Browns. The total is still a whole touchdown higher. It kind of feels more like that Dolphins game where the books are just lowering the total in anticipation, but also because everyone wants to bet the under this time of year, and with all these weather games. It's like everyone likes the overall all the other times, but all of a sudden everyone's like, under this. So I think the books are kind of what's the opposite of inflating? Deflating some of these totals. This is, I could be wrong, but that's just kind of my take on it. All right. Let's finish up the slate with tight end. Who do you like on the 3-game?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a garbage tight end slate. So Greg Dulcich sticks out like a sore thumb. He's the clear top play. He's 3,900. Rams play the most zone in the league. He's been much better against zone, nearly a whole yard higher per route run against zone. But, I'm going to have to go with our traditional attack, the Cardinals against tight ends here, and go with Cam Brate at 2,900. I think he could be sneaky here. The Cardinals have allowed the most fantasy points and touchdowns to tight ends. So we're really just trying to get a touchdown from Brate here. And I would imagine Brate's rostership is going to be pretty low here, probably even lower than Cade Otton. Week 14 was the only time I think where Brate was active and Otton ran more routes than him. Last week, Brate just barely outsqueaked Otton in routes run. So I think they do prefer Brate to be the main pass catching tight end. So while it isn't sexy, this entire slate is pretty brutal. So I'm going to just have to go with Brate here and attack the Cardinals defense that has really struggled against tight ends this season.
Yeah, until like Greg Dulcich kind of broke this. I know Tomlinson did his thing and had a big game, but that's supposed to be Dulcich. God damn it!
Did they? They almost got Sauber a touchdown too.
I know. Yeah, I think Albert O almost got a touchdown from the inactive list as well.
But yeah, Tomlinson has really long hair too, so I got excited. I thought that was Dulcich initially. It looked like him, and then I'm like, oh, number 87, go figure. So yeah, they've been tilting.
Yeah, so I think that Dulcich play is a good call because I was thinking about it too. I was like, with the ability to now target the Cardinals with 2 tight ends on the Bucks, I think everyone's going to kind of be fed up with Dulcich, and he's probably going to have lower rostership than you would think for. And Higbee got a touchdown last week, so I think he'll be popular as well. But a couple of guys that I like outside of the guys you mentioned are Mike Gesicki, because just heard Josh McDaniels say, I haven't gotten him the ball enough. Need to get him the ball more. So I don't know what that means. That maybe he'll get 1 catch instead of none or something. But this is a 3-game slate, and I'm already rostering Robbie Anderson, so I just got to shoot for the moon.
Well, he might be the most talented tight end on the slate too, for being real.
Yeah, exactly. So, actually, he did get 1 catch last week for 5 yards. Okay, but that was his first catch in 4 weeks. Although he did have targets each of those other 3, just didn't get a catch. But yeah, Gesicki, I think, as you mentioned, does have some talent. Has caught 4 touchdowns on 25 receptions this year. So about a 16% chance if he catches a pass that it's a touchdown. Now that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah.
The Packers are 25th in DVOA against tight end, and the Packers do blitz a lot too. So I still think you're going to see a lot of Durham Smythe. But if McDaniel says he wants to get, it's kind of out of the blue to just say that. So I'm at least paying attention on a slate like this. And the other guy is, I'm actually surprised you didn't bring him up, Trey McBride for the Cardinals. I know you noticed him kind of seeing a little uptick in his, finally getting some targets and some catches after, I think we talked about the first couple of games where he was the starter. He didn't really give you anything, and we were kind of worried about him. Like, okay, he's a talented guy. Like, when is he going to kind of show up? But again, to this point, the Cardinals games, everything's kind of going backwards now. So McBride, last couple of games, has caught a handful of balls in each. He had actually 3 catches 2 weeks ago, and then 4 catches for 55 yards last week, and he played 86% of the snaps overall, which was his highest since the game that Ertz got hurt. So he's playing on pass snaps, he's playing on run snaps. He's just kind of operating as that true Zach Ertz every down, every snap tight end. So I think I probably will have more McBride rostership than and Brate, just because I think those guys are going to be the chalk, with everyone kind of knowing that that the Cardinals stink against tight ends. But McBride quietly has 3 to 4 catches in 3 of the last 4 games. So there's a little bit of upside here. A little bit of upside.
Oh yeah, no, I love McBride. Love the talent, but I think all of his catches last week were with Colt McCoy, and then when McSorley came in, it was chucking it deep to Robbie Anderson. Yeah. So that's one thing. Because McSorley's going to want to scramble a lot more than McCoy, so that could mean less dump offs to McBride. But yeah, on a slate like this, definitely like the idea of at least investing in talent. McBride and Gesicki are probably the 2 most talented tight ends on this slate. So you can't go wrong with really anybody on this slate, because they're all kind of like subpar.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it now, and McSorley actually connected with.
He hit 29-yarder.
It's 2 longest plays.
A
14 and a 29. So McCoy was just giving him that 4 and 8 yard stuff. We don't want that. We want
true.
We want to average 21.5 yards per catch like we're doing with Trace. So yeah, it's the Trace, Robbie Anderson, Trey McBride stack. Fight me. That is how this slate is going to be won, because those could be the 4th and 5th guys in the target. But they'd be on the field. Like, if Robbie can overtake Green or just even draw even, he could be the number 3 receiver, and then McBride would be the tight end, and then everyone would have Hopkins, Brown, and Connor rostered a lot higher,
Right.
but they'd all
Exactly.
be, they'd all be kind of cannibalizing each other. So yeah, I love the idea of actually
Massive leverage play there.
yeah, yep. Uh all right, let's see what else. Oh, so what do we got for the luck rankings for these 3 games?
Oh, for these 3 games? Oh, hold on a sec.
Let's talk about some defense real quick, just because I do think it's interesting on the 3 game slate. Just who's your top defense for this?
Oh God, really mixing it up this week. Let me see.
I mean, you gotta pick a defense. So
Yeah, that is true. Got to pick a defense here.
Gotta pick a defense.
Let's see. So I mean, the Broncos are the top defense, but probably in terms of price. I mean, we're talking about McSorley chucking it deep, so the Buccaneers would be in play. There's some turnover potential there. The Rams are in play against Russell Wilson, but yeah, in terms of pricing, it's pretty well priced. I would say the best bang for your buck would probably be the Broncos defense against Baker. What do you got?
I mean, yeah, I think all of them are in play. I actually like the Packers defense at the cheapest. I think.
Yeah, they're the cheapest.
Yeah, but I do think that they have some kind of unrealized upside here, because remember the last 4 weeks, this Dolphin offense it hasn't been its usual self. That it hasn't been as efficient, and Tua is completing just 53% of his passes. And this started before they played I know they played the Niners and the Bills, and those are good defenses, but this started against Houston. So like this was going back that they started to struggle, and of course Houston plays a lot of zone, and so does Green Bay. So with a guy incompleting 47% of his passes, and that obviously could regress to the mean, but it's been it hasn't really gotten above 60 after usually like 70 plus all year. That's a lot of chances for an interception or something good to happen like that. Also, I think Tua is he's a little jumpy in the pocket these days. I think he could sack him here. And if the Packers have success on offense, which is also possible against this Dolphin D, which against any kind of good, decent offense that didn't have a backup quarterback, this Dolphin defense has gotten torched. You could get a bunch of just pin your ears back and attack. So this Packer D blitzes at a top 5 rate as well, just like the Dolphins I think are 7s. I think the Packers actually blitz more than the Dolphins, so they're my kind of under the radar play at defense. And sometimes the cheapest defense is chalky just because it's the cheapest, but I don't think it will be this week, because literally you can make a case for almost every other defense. Except the Packers, and I think everyone's like, oh man, Tua, Tyreek, no one's gonna want to play him. But I think they have a good shot here to get some fantasy points. All right, what do you got for luck?
So the only game that has a differential of more than 10 is this Packers Dolphins game. The Dolphins have been the 9th luckiest team, and the Packers have been the 5th unluckiest team. So actually, I do like the Packers. They were plus 4.5. I think it's down to plus 4. Maybe some spots it's like 3.5. So I think the sharps are on the Packers as well.
Yeah, I told you should follow me in the app, dude. I got the Packers at 4.
I do.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But no, I did. That was it's actually my first pick on the Action Network podcast.
Oh, nice.
Ducky. So and I believe he said if I didn't pick it, he would have picked it. So yeah, we're all on board.
I think everybody at Action actually is on Green Bay here.
Yeah, it's a good spot for the Packers. I haven't backed them too much. Probably faded them more than I've backed them this year. But just looking into the matchup, and again, I'll have something out at Action. But I do think this Packers, their offense is set up well, and I think their defense is set up well, just in terms of their scheme and how it matches up with the Dolphins offense. So looking forward to that. But let's finish it out with